Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in to this review of the Schrade SCH 56 and 56L. Two very, very affordable camping and outdoor knives that I think you're going to be very attracted to after you see what they can do. Stick around for the review. Alright, so as we get into the review, let's start by just giving you a nice look at the knives themselves. We'll talk about the sheaths here in a second, but let's just kind of examine these overall and kind of get a feel for some of the features and some of the details on them. So the blades themselves, these are both hollow ground, and I can see that in the light as well as feel it with my fingers. Hollow saber ground, nice blade stock on it. You can see that it's nice and fat, and we'll measure that here in a second. But you can see that it's got a nice strong tip as well due to the way that that is ground. And that goes for both the 56, which is the small one, and the 56L for long, which is the long one. We've got TPE handles on there, handle scales, which are nice in hand, and we'll compare those to some other blades here in a second. Also, nicely contoured. I mean, they fill my hand well, but they don't feel like a big broomstick in my hand. So the thickness is perfect in my opinion. It really comes down to sort of what do you like best in regards to the blade length. Which one would you rather have? You know, it comes down to what do you intend to use it for. Do you want something that's a little more versatile that can perhaps baton some wood and do a little harder work? Well, the longer one will be the one you're interested in. If you want something that's going to be a little more handy, maybe hide a little better or, you know, get put away a little easier, the short one will definitely come in as useful in that way. So setting those blades aside for a second, we'll look at the sheaths. And looking at one sheath, I might as well show you both sheaths. I mean, they're the same thing, so I'll just show you one of them. They are not that special, to be honest. They're special in their non-specialness. You can see that it's got a nice big hole there for threading your belt through. It'll hang just, you know, the way it's supposed to. Inexpensive polyester. With a little insert there, you can see where the knife will go in and have a little hard plastic sort of protecting it and also protecting the interior of that polyester. But one thing that's totally useful and totally special about it is that it comes with this ferro rod attached, which is just great. I mean, it's so functional. Nice elastic right here to hold it on there. Whoever thought of that is just, I don't know, smart guy. That's perfect. So this little loop right here, it seems to be the same exact polyester that we have right here, just except looped over. And maybe with a little extra hard plastic in there to kind of keep it open like that. But the ferro rod is the perfect size. It works great. The knives themselves throw sparks very well. And I just love that that ferro rod fits onto the sheath and fits onto the outside and retains so perfectly just like that. Yeah, like I said, extraordinarily not special, but at the same time, perfectly functional. Getting back into the knives, let's talk a little bit more about the materials, as well as sort of how it felt in hand, how ergonomics were, and, you know, kind of how the knife performed in general. So it is 1095 steel. And again, to mention the price, which if I haven't already, it's 25 bucks for these knives. Either one of them is about 25 bucks. Extraordinarily good for 1095 steel. And yeah, the reason you're getting that is because it's Chinese made. And I don't know if or where it says that on here, but yeah, they're Chinese made. They're overseas produced. As is the case with virtually everything Schrade makes, I think. However, they keep coming up with really functional, really useful designs and delivering them in extraordinarily good prices. So how do you argue with that? How do you argue with that indeed? You can see that it is a screwed together construction where these TPE handles are screwed onto the, if I can talk, screwed onto the blade stock there, onto the tang, which goes all the way down to the bottom, as you can see. Got a nice little lanyard hole right there, and that's the truth on this one as well. It appears that the handles are identical, and in hand they feel identical. It's just that the balance point feels very different. This one is far more handle heavy because you have a lot less blade out there to use. Whereas this one, in my opinion, is balanced pretty much perfectly. Yeah, just about right. I think it's really good in hand. Once again, though, the TPE is great. It's rounded well. It's soft in hand. It's textured. And so bare hands, gloves, doesn't matter. It's going to work really well for you through all the work that you're going to do. Yeah, it's going to collect some dirt and some dust. No big deal. Wash it off when you get home if you want to, if you have to. Or just leave it on there for the next time you take it out. Yeah, that's might be what I do. The edge on here, the spine on there has got a nice 90-degree corner to it as well, so it throws sparks like mad. And that's good because it comes with the ferro rod, right? They both come with a ferro rod, so it better throw sparks, and it does. As far as the cutting performance of these blades, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I wasn't really expecting all that much, given that, I didn't feel like the edge angle was going to be that great. It seemed a little bit obtuse to me. I actually tried to touch it up before taking it out. However, as I got into some stuff, they felt like they were pretty good cutters. And that may be attributed to the fact that it is hollow ground, and so what we have as that scoops down, you actually create a finer edge than you might otherwise have if you were to come down flat, and even with a fully flat ground. That hollow grind kind of creates the best of both worlds in that sense, where you have a nice thin edge on there, and yet it's well supported by that blade stock. I want to note that these knives were comfortable in virtually every position I use them in as well. This, of course, is the ideal grip for this type of knife for the way that it's designed. And reverse grip is fine too, so you're going to stab that and pry, or stab that and drill, or grab it like so and drill like this, as I did, into some logs. That was perfectly comfortable. Once again, due to the fact that this TPE handle is nicely rounded, it's soft, it gives, let me show you that. See my nail digging into that, pushing into it? It gives very nicely. So it is actually quite comfortable regardless of the position that you're gripping it from. It just conforms to your hand. All right, let's get some measurements on these knives. Let's begin with the weight of them. Let's go with the 56L to start. It comes in at 250 grams. With the sheath, on top of that, we have the sheath and the ferro rod, 328 grams. And switching that unit to ounces, it was already there, 11.5 ounces for those. All right, good. That's, I would say, kind of a heavyweight for what you're getting. However, you're getting a lot. Then throw in the small one on there, the 56. Looks like 10.5 ounces with the sheath, 8 ounces without it. And switching units, looks like 300 grams for that whole package. All right, that's pretty good. Pretty good. It's a hefty set of knives you've got there, no doubt. But I think you're getting a lot for the weight. Now let's go ahead and get some measurements on that as far as length, etc. So let's go ahead and start with the L. And it looks like we have about 9 inches on that and about a 4 1/4 inch blade. And getting into the metric measurements on that, we might as well zoom in a little bit. Looks like about 23 centimeters approximately. Let's go for the small guy right there. Once again on the centimeters, about 21. And then on the inch measurements, we have about 8 1/4. All right, last thing I want to do, let's get into some comparisons. Let's start off with the SCHF L right here. And I guess we'll put the SCHF 56 normal there, 56L and regular 56. And let's compare them to a few other Schrades. How about that? What we've got here is the SCHF 42. And there's a look at that one, how it measures up to those. Now this one does cost a bit more. I think it's in the $40 to $50 range versus the $25 range for either one of these. And what else can we compare it to? We've got a couple other Schrades here. I think we'll just go with one other Schrade. And this one might not quite fit in screen. There it is. And that is the big old SCHF 51M in micarta. And that guy, like I said before, is pretty big. I mean, as far as durability, yeah, it's going to be, gosh, they're actually pretty comparable. Look at the blade stocks, how thick they are. They're almost identical. So you've got a thinner, lighter knife at not quite 9 ounces. And how much does this guy weigh? Let's just, because we're here and we can do it, let's go ahead and compare that. Schrade kind of varies pretty widely in all their different knives, and this one comes in at almost 15 ounces. Nearly 15 ounces, or 423 grams. Wow. That's a heck of a lot of weight for that knife. If you're going to be packing it around on a trip, on a camping trip, on a backpacking trip or something like that, you might want to reconsider, unless you really feel like you need that kind of weight and that kind of durability in the knife. But there's a lot of other knives out there we could bring in. Maybe the more Bushcraft Black, just because it's comparable in size to the SCHF 56L, and you can see kind of how those two stack up. And maybe one more, because I also have this one on the docket for review, and that is the Real Steel Bushcraft. I would say that these 3 knives definitely fill the same role pretty well. Once again, thanks to Schrade for sending me the SCHF 56 and 56L. These knives are extraordinarily affordable at like 25 bucks. They perform really, really well too. 1095 steel, made in China, sure, but the materials are great, they're comfortable in hand, they're easy to carry, and I just see them performing really well for a really long time. And that's my review. I'm the Late Boy Scout. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Coyote brown G10 on the outside and a nice bright red on the inside, just popping out, you know, and creating a really nice accent, of course. And the handle, the stock, or the tang, I should say, of the blade, obviously showing through all of that, looking very cool.